All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Two Planker Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Schaefer, and today on the show we got Kysen Hall. And Kysen, thank you for joining us, dude.
Oh, thank you for having me. Stoked to
Yeah,
be here.
absolutely. So, where you at right now? We were just talking about it a little bit.
Um, right now I'm posted up in Ogden, Utah. That's
Mhm.
where I was born and raised. And I lived in Salt Lake for about 8 or 9 years, and just recently last year moved down to Ogden, and I like it here, dude. I like it better in Salt Lake.
Yeah, why's that? Like, what's wrong with Salt Lake?
Um, just for my lifestyle, I guess. Salt Lake there's too many people there. It's
Yeah.
too busy. It takes 30 minutes to go 2 miles. And I hate that. It's like, I hate that shit. It's a lot quieter here. But yeah, just being accessible to the mountains is key. Accessible, being outdoors quick is my biggest favorite thing about being in Ogden.
Yeah, in Ogden, what's like the go-to resort for you?
So I actually grew up skiing Snow Basin, and that would be my go-to resort.
Mm.
We have Powder Mountain up here too, which is obviously like, incredible. Everyone talks about it. But Snow Basin's like it's a little busier than Powder. It's not quite as busy as the Cottonwoods down south, but that's that's a slept on resort right there.
Yeah, I went
It's
to,
the most vertical feet in Utah and top to bottom, and yeah, it's a leg burner.
dude, I went there for just one day back in January, and honestly, the thing that stuck out, it was a great mountain. The lodges are probably the craziest I've ever
Dude,
seen.
it's by far the nicest bathrooms I've ever been in for sure. Nicest lodges. Like when I was growing up there, that was like if I could choose a place to have my favorite food, the best food, and have like a great dining experience, is like I wanted to go to the Snow Basin Dining Hall because their pizza was everything's changed now that I've gone back and it's been so many years. But when I was growing up, dude, there's their pizza, their all their soups. They had like roast beef sandwiches and beef schnitzels. It was just like, oh, it was a dream going up there and growing up there skiing
Yeah,
and just experiencing their lodges like that. And as soon as I moved away and I went to, I'd go to Brighton, I'd be like, what, like, this is like a cafeteria. And I don't know, I'm used to marble walled bathrooms and gold toilets and stuff.
yeah, and like the wood
Which,
paneled lodge with the crazy
yeah,
chandeliers. Yeah,
just the most bougie stuff. And it's funny because they don't, they kind of cater towards a little bit nicer people, but really it's just a family resort. But they
yeah,
just stick out with how nice all their lodging is.
yeah. That's super tight. It kind of reminded me of Mount Bachelor. Like you drive up there and there's
Yeah.
no like big downtown area or any like there's
Yep.
nothing up there besides the resort, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. It's pretty sweet that way. It's out of the way, and yeah, like you're saying, it's not the easiest or sorry, the most easy accessible resort to get to, but
Yeah,
it's kind of tucked away on its own. And you look at it, you're driving up there and you're like, damn, that's like a great place to put a mountain. And it's literally covering everywhere you'd imagine there to be a mountain there. So,
yeah. Damn.
it's pretty epic up there.
Yeah, we're getting like a week of rain in Connecticut right now, so this is actually bumming me out pretty hard right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't get the week long rain here in Utah. It's always for 30 minutes here and there.
Yeah.
Could be a bright blue sunny day and then you get a little rain here and there. But I like the rain, honestly. The rain's calming.
Did you guys catch like all those crazy storms up in Ogden that Salt Lake was getting hit with?
Dude, we got like in the earlier in the season, they were getting hit harder um than we were a little bit, but towards this, all of March basically, like Ogden got hit way harder than down there. Like I would wake up multiple days in a row here in the valley and I'd have a foot of snow on my car for 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And I'd talk to Jake, and he lives in Salt Lake, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, we got like a half an inch maybe. And I'd be like, no, dude, I got like a full foot on top of my truck right now.
That's
It's
wild.
pretty wild. Like we're what are we, May tomorrow, and there's still multiple feet of snow at 6,000 feet up near Snow Basin.
That's wild. Damn.
Yeah, they got hammered this last in the springtime.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to ski really all winter, but that's another story.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get into that? We could we'll bounce around the timeline a little bit. We'll talk about
Yeah.
growing up later. So what happened? I heard you might have had a big injury doing some urban skiing.
Yeah, so I'd kind of like earlier in the season decided, like I wasn't going to put any pressure on myself to go ski in the street or do anything. And I didn't at all. But then Emmett hit me up and he was like, hey, we're going to Montana and, I'll pay for everything. I'll pay for your flight out. So I was like, okay, that's kind of hard to pass up, like I'll just go hang out with some friends and maybe hit a street spot. And so we went to Montana and I flew out there. They drove out there a couple days before that. I couldn't make it the whole time, but I flew out there, met up with them, and everything was going great. We like hit a couple spots, and then the next day we ended up like finding a bunch of spots, and we tried to hit a couple of them. We got kicked out. It was kind of just one of those days where it was like, nothing's going our way, and we really wanted to try to like make something of the day. And we came across this down flat down that was about 5 feet away from a 4 foot tall fence. So I was like, I'll jump over this and slide that down flat down. Like, it shouldn't, it's going to be tough, but it shouldn't be too bad. And as soon as I started hitting it, I realized it was like the rail itself was way shorter sections and steeper than, I kind of anticipated in my head. So I kind of had to really work through that first kink or else I was going to get bucked really hard. And I'd hit it a few times. I did it to where, you could count it. But me being me, just, I wanted to do it better and make it look better. And then just one time after, temp number 50, 30, 40, I don't know, somewhere up there, just took a tiny bit too speed and did a full commit. And I landed just right in the first kink, like too far into the kink to be completely to flat, but not high enough on the down to like get control on the down. So I just immediately slipped out right in that corner and essentially fell like, I don't know, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 12 feet, basically just straight to my ribs and just tacoed over the rail on the flat section. Broke 5 ribs, punctured my lung. I damaged my spleen. Luckily, it didn't rupture it. It was bleeding when I first got to the hospital, but it subsided, an hour in. So that was super lucky. But yeah, that was like my first big injury I've ever had skiing, which is, I'm super fortunate of that because there's a lot of other situations I've been in where I probably should have been in the hospital. But yeah, this time it didn't work out at all. And it wasn't very fun. Couldn't breathe for quite a while. Yeah, it was a pretty scary experience to say the least. But yeah, big devastating injury to me this year. And luckily it hasn't happened in years past, but I'm stoked to be, I'm basically back to full strength. I lost a lot of muscle sitting in my bed basically for a couple weeks, but we're basically back to full strength and I'm feeling pretty good. And they're not really bugging me. Every once in a while I can feel them bugging me, but no, yeah, dude,
No.
big five ribs, and they were all around my side too. They weren't on the front or the back. It was like my rib cage around the side of your body. So that was just like a little extra sensitive for the healing process, just because I don't know. If you've ever broken ribs, or if anyone out there's ever broken ribs, kind of what I'm feeling. It's like if you break those ribs in half, you can't do there's really nothing you can do without feeling your ribs expand, which for the first couple weeks is pretty gnarly. To
Yeah, dude, that's
say the least.
terrible.
Yeah, no, it was a rough one, but we're back. We're healthy again.
Yeah. Is that the worst injury you've gotten skiing?
I would say so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things. I've broken bones. I've broken wrists. I've gotten concussions, and I've like uh almost did the. I don't quote me on this because I'm not positive. But I'm pretty sure wasn't it Alex Hackle who got the pole to the eye,
Oh, dude, I
and
don't know
that's
about that, but that sounds horrible.
I think I thought I heard someone say that, but I've done that before. Just like broken a pair of sunglasses through my pole into my eye, like
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to see for a few weeks, and so I've had some injuries, but nothing that was like that. That
Yeah.
was that was actually scary.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's brutal. And
yeah.
with yeah, who are you with for that shoot?
Um, with Emmett, Luke had just left to go back to Utah. Young Snow was there. Dylan, Manley, AJ Lefebvre was there, and then Dylan's brother was also there. He just come in to kind of meet with us and hang out because he lived in Boise, I'm pretty sure, just like not
Mm.
too far. So he came and hung out with us. But yeah, we just dropped Luke off at the airport earlier that day, and then yeah, it ended up being a rough day.
Yeah. Who
I kind of took it as a sign. I was like, damn, maybe I should have just not hitting street at all this year. But you live and you learn.
yeah. Who in the crew is the one like when shit hits the fan? Who's the one that usually steps up and handles everything?
Emmett.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's good. No one's like, when shit happens like that, everyone kind of goes into, serious mode, and we're not. It's not fun. It's a quick realization that what we're doing, is not chill.
Mm.
Most things are not chill. Like, even like simple things that you see people like do street clips, and like people just have a lack of understanding that, like, even though that he's just hitting this flat ledge right here, like if you're actually there, you grasp that there's like, there's a rock like 4 feet off of this ledge that if you fall, like you're gonna hit it. And like there's just so many factors that people don't think of and won't ever think of because they're not in that situation themselves.
Yeah. Dude.
But yeah, Emmett steps up. He's always stepped up like that. He thrives. He kind of thrives under that pressure. Like I always like to joke with him that he could be, I don't he could be he could be a like a motivational speaker, or like he could like talk people down from a ledge type thing. Like he zones in, and you've talked to him. He's very good with his verbiage. He's very good at just speaking publicly, and that is like one of my biggest weak points is like talking in public and doing, I don't know. But Emmett is the man when it comes to that. He zones in. He knows exactly what to do, what not to do, and I don't know how he can take control of the situation pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with Mr. Dylan Manley? Emmett said that you guys have a
Oh,
tendency to bicker a little bit.
we're like, I mean, I love him. Like, and I know he loves me. Till death, I'll love that man. But yeah, we have a pretty funny relationship. We're like, we always joke that we're like mortal enemies. Like, it's pretty common to like, we'll be on a road trip. I mean, we haven't done it in a few years, but like, being on the road with Dylan is, I mean, I'm sure with me too. I know I'm not great. Like, I know sometimes I'm a very hard person to be around. Um, but then you add Dylan into that mix, and then we just kind of antagonize each other. Like, I'll suggest something, and regardless if he thinks it's good or bad, sometimes he'll just say something, and I'll just have to say something back, just because it's kind of fun bickering with him. And then Emmett always has to step in and tell us to like shut the fuck up. Um, but no, it's all love relationship. But sometimes in heat of the moment, we go at it. Like I've gone at it with him we've been pretty close to fighting a couple times just based off tension.
Yeah.
But it's all situational. It's all, we're in a van for 12 hours. We've eaten gas station food only for like 3 days. Like, it's all, everything's just building up till this one moment where I'm in a bad mood and he's also in a bad mood at the same time. But, in the end, it's always, even if we were to get in a fight, it's, 20 minutes goes by and it's just back to normal. It's like, oh, we both just realized we were being fucking stupid. And, that's just what it is when you spend a lot of time with someone. You don't get only their happy phase. You
Yeah.
get all, you got to experience the whole shebang.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
funny, bro. So I'd
But
like to talk.
overall, it's all love.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about how you got linked up with Vishnu, but I want to go like way back
Yeah.
for like how you even got into skiing in the first place. Because it seems like with all the Utah heads, it's like from the moment they're born, they're pushed into skiing some way or another. So like, were you
Yeah.
ever on like that formal route with like racing or moguls or like going into park skiing? Like, what was your journey with that like?
So I was never on that route at all.
Mm,
My grandpa is legendary, man. I would say he's like a god amongst men, essentially. But he got me into skiing. He's been skiing his whole life. Like he got 100 days this year in a snow basin. He's like 78 years old.
yeah.
He just lives for it, and he lives for most things outdoors, like kayaking and stuff. But when I was 2, he took me up for my first time and been skiing ever since then.
Mm,
Just he taught me the race car method. I only got one ski pole for about 3 years, my first 3 years of skiing, and I was just driving a car. And yeah, that was 2.5 is when I first started skiing. And I never went the quote unquote formal route. I've never experienced any like professional coaching. Never did any race teams or ski teams or anything like that. Like, my we had, I had my family had money obviously to ski, but we didn't have the money to go to a ski academy type deal,
yeah.
even though
Yeah.
I really wanted to. And I didn't understand when I was like 12, like why I couldn't go. I was like, Mom, it's 20 grand. Like, what do you mean? She's like, you'll know one day. I was like, okay, yeah, I understand now.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that, now that I'm older, it's like it would have been nice to have a coach younger and, be able to do, obviously, I'd probably be able to do a lot more tricks, but it's kind of nice learning on my own. I just mostly watched, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, probably not, but their name is, they were like snow basin locals basically that like I would just watch them ski, and that's what got me into park skiing. And like Snow Basin didn't even used to really have a park. It was all just like I learned all of my tricks, um, from a young age on just natural features. We call
Yeah.
it BKW at Snow Basin, banana kicker wall. Is like you'd go on the main run and you could hit these 3 nice jumps in a row that were all natural hits, and that was kind of our lap that we did. But that was where I learned Misty Sevens, Cork Sevens, front flips, back flips, really everything. And it was all inspired by his name's Leo Zabursky and Bryson Bowman. I don't know if you remember DNA.
Like the brand.
Yeah, the brand DNA, Descent North America.
Yeah, I've seen a
Like
lot of those like stickers and all that.
yeah, yeah. So he was like, that was when it was like, that was the shit. Like everyone wanted that because they were like some of the first people, obviously, besides like Arcteryx or whatever, to come out with like a nice 3L hard shell jacket. And that was back then, that was like all anybody wanted. That was all I wanted, at least. That and the G10 visor helmet, if you remember that one.
Oh man, I don't
It
know if
was
I
like,
remember seeing like any actual DNA gear. I have all these old magazines, so I see the ads like crazy.
yeah.
They're everywhere, but I don't know if I ever saw it in person.
they made some sick stuff. They made some horrible stuff too, like some yellow plaid full kits. But I remember, yeah, they made a blue pinstriped jacket and pant combo that was just like, I don't know, they were on point with their fits. Like it's basically what they're making back then is what everybody wants right now at the same, like right now too.
Yeah.
Kind of just come back full circle.
And those dudes were snow basing guys?
Yeah, they were snow basing guys. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, I mean, I know Leo Zabersky, he was coaching skiing for a while. I'm not sure what they do anymore, but yeah, if they ever end up listening to this, shouts out to them because I'd watch them do tricks and I would go try the same trick after. Like
Yeah.
that was how I learned to do stuff. I would watch a YouTube video of someone doing cork sevens, and then I'd go to the hill and I would just try to copy what they did essentially.
Yeah.
That
Dude.
was my coaching tool.
Yeah. That's kind of wild doing it from 2 years old. Like I've been thinking about this recently.
Yeah,
Skiing
like
is
when did
for
you
sure
start skiing?
like 4 years old. So like
Yeah.
skiing's for sure the only thing I could say that I've done for over 20 years. Like this is the only
Yeah.
hobby I've had for over 20 years. I've known some people for, 20 years now, but
Hmm.
it's just yeah, it's just
Not
wild.
many people have hobbies that last that long.
Nah, I mean, I think I've said it before on here, but like, oh, you're really into baseball growing up? Like at a certain point that kind of,
Yeah.
peters out. You're really into football, like good luck
You
doing
can't
that
you
for
can't
your
play
whole life.
football your whole life, but you can ski your whole life and hey, you can fish your whole life.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, bro. So, so you're a public school kid, no ski academies, no nothing.
Nope. I was a regular sports kid as well. So I
Okay,
played
yeah.
soccer all growing up. I played baseball. I played football. I was actually a high school quarterback in my high school, which is like thinking of it, it just like doesn't make sense. Like, I guess you could say good enough to play the position, but like I'm not a quarterback. I don't know. I didn't see myself as quarterback material, but so I ended up playing all through high school and yeah, played baseball for 2 years in my high school. Um, yeah, and then I just started getting into fishing during high school as well, and skiing was always mixed in with that. I always liked basketball, but I could never play it because I wanted to ski and they wouldn't let you ski. So
Yeah.
I gave that up in like eighth grade or something.
Damn. Was being the QB for like a city football team, because I'm assuming it was like the public school for the city. Was that like some
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights type of shit?
Oh, it was Friday Night Lights type shit for sure. It was, and I didn't like, I'm not a spotlight person. I don't care to be in the spotlight. Like, I'm totally fine going under the radar.
Yeah.
I don't need any sort of spotlight in any circumstance. I'm not a spotlight person. So it was interesting for me being, that kind of personality to be in the spotlight. Um, in the Yeah, I kind of just had to roll with it, but it was definitely some Friday Night Lights vibe, it's and I wasn't, I'm in high school, it's like all my buddies were all on the football team, and so it was some kind of nostalgic moments. Like I think of it now and I'm like, dude, it's kind of ridiculous that I was a high school quarterback, like given my hobbies and my interests now,
Yeah.
just my personality, but back then I guess it made sense at the time, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But I kind of got just I strayed away from I knew at a young age that like I didn't want to go play college sports. I
Mm.
wanted just to go skiing basically. Like I had the opportunity to go play college football at a few places playing quarterback and potentially other positions, and I just didn't ever pursue it cuz I never saw myself. I was like, I don't want to go, I want to go skiing all winter.
Yeah. That's
But
funny, bro. Is
yeah,
it
it's
like
pretty funny.
being in Utah? I mean, like, so being from Connecticut, for
Yeah.
example, like people ski a little bit, but like if you're super into skiing, you're like one of the only kids in your town that's like super into it. And so you,
Yeah.
you can kind of make your own little clique or identity based on that. Is it that same way? Is it the same way growing up in Utah, or is it like, yeah, we get it, like everyone here skis, so who cares? It
No,
could
it's
be.
it's pretty similar, especially going to like, I mean, I just grew up in Ogden, so it's like, public schools, it's all intermingled. Like in
Yeah.
my, in my public school, there's people who live in, $2 million homes, and there's people who live in apartments all going
Mhm.
to that same school. It's like it's pretty broad in the sense of like the I don't know, just the diversity of kids that actually go there. So it was like, you'd expect to walk in there and be like, most people here ski, but it was like, most people in my high school like had never even been to the mountains, like
Wow, that's so weird. Yeah.
they live 30 minutes away and they've never gone up there. They've never skied, they've never, floated the river. They're just stuck, which is what I've learned over the years. That's it's a big a lot of people experience that in Utah. It's just, solely comes down to, your financial situation and whether or not you can make that happen. And
Yeah.
I was, blessed enough to grow up in a household that, loved outdoors, had been, in the outdoors their whole life. My dad skied, he snowboarded, he's fished. My mom still skis, she just skied like 80 days this year. So I just, was fortunate enough to grow up in a house that they already like the activity. I had hand-me-downs for until I didn't get a new pair of ski boots till I think I was like 19 years old. Like I would just take my grandpa's old stuff and wear boots that were like 3 sizes too big. Like
Yeah.
made it work however I could. I remember I wanted twin tip skis so bad at one point, and like because I didn't have twin tips, I was going switch. People do it now, but I would be going switch, doing switch fives on directional skis when I was like 12 years old, just because I had to make it work.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember I wanted some twin tips so bad, and just $400 for skis. That's expensive. I don't think, my mom will even tell me to this day she's never paid more than $100 for skis. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just, but eventually I got some twin tips and
That was
I
it.
liked them a lot. Yeah, I liked them a lot. It was a
Did
lot of
you
fun.
did you guys have so Ogden, I mean, even though it's so close to Salt Lake, it feels like I mean, you are in a completely different city. So
Yeah.
did you guys have beef with like the Salt Lake kids and like, kind of
No,
beef with the
they're
other
so far.
mountains?
They were so far away. I honestly I skied Snow Basin in Powder Mountain and Wolf Mountain. It's like a little smaller hill up in between Powder and Snow Basin. They do a lot of rail jams and night skiing there and stuff. But up until I was, let's say 20, 19 or 20, I'd only skied Park City and then the resorts right here at my house. Never been to Brighton, never been to Snowbird, never been to Alta. Still never skied at Snowbird, even though
Mm.
I had a pass for a whole year one year. But yeah, no, it was growing up, like I wouldn't even really think of that at all. More so, it was like not necessarily the mountains down south, but you'd go up to Snow Basin, and you'd have your group that was like from my high school of people you knew, and then there'd be like the group from the private Catholic school that would go up there. That was like, I'm obviously Dylan Sondrip is.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would assume you do after you like old Ollie videos and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was on Saga forever and K2 and but he would he was a ski racer. I didn't really know Dylan at the time. I'm pretty good friend. I'm good friends with him now, but at the time it was like he was part of like the ski race crew, and I remember I'd always see him up there, and I'd always be like, dude, this kid is so good at skiing, like ridiculously good at skiing, like way better than anyone else up here. But there's kind of those clicks here and there. But overall, like at least at Snow Basin when I was growing up, you'd get to the mountain and it was like you'd see someone your own age and you'd be like, oh, sick. Like I'm gonna go ride with them for a minute.
Yeah.
try to make friends with them because it was, I had Parviz phase. That's who actually got me skiing with Vishnu
Yeah.
originally. That's who put me on basically. Parviz phase and my buddy Mitch Russo. That was basically my ski crew up there. Other than that, I was just by myself most of the time.
Yeah.
And
So
some other kids that I don't really necessarily talk with anymore, but they were, during high school, they were some short term friends and I'd go skiing with them. But like those two particularly are like, that's who I'd ride with. And that was my crew.
yeah. So so let's get into that a little bit more. So how'd you get linked up with Vishnu and, that was like around 2017 with Harvest, right? That was the first video that you ended up being in.
Yeah. So that was 1 second. Let me close my door.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So that was the following year after they made Recess. And that was the first video Parviz was in. And Parviz is from Ogden. That's who I grew up skiing with. Like, he's the only one of my friends who skated too, like skateboarded. So I would, I'd go to Layton Skate Park in Ogden, skate park with him all the time. We were in Clearfield as well. But he moved down to Salt Lake to go to the U. I was actually going to Weber State at the time, I think. Um, because I couldn't afford to go to the U, and I like didn't want to take out loans to go somewhere when I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. So I would just go hang out with him all the time down in Salt Lake, and like I started meeting all his friends that he became friends with at the dorms. Still good friends with a lot of them today. I ended up living with one of them, Curtis Semino, for like, I think we lived together. We were almost like common law married. I lived with him for like 8 years or something. Like, he helped raise my dog. I was there when he got his cat. Like, it was, yeah, it was a good time. But so Parviz ended up, um, I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly how Parviz ended up linking up with Emmett. But this is when they were in the couch. This is, or not couch house. This is when they were up on in the Parley's house, and there's like 10 dudes. I'm sure Emmett's told you about that house. There's like 10 dudes at any given time living in this house.
He might have mentioned that in that first episode when we did like the history of everything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was a crazy house to say the least. Just like you'd walk in there and you'd see 10 different people and you'd be like, oh, you guys all live here. Holy shit. And just, dirty and classic college house, but with a lot of people in it. And yeah, I'm not sure how Parviz ended up linking with Emmett. I can't remember that right now, but eventually, Emmett gave Parviz skis, which is uh pretty incredible because if Parviz doesn't have front six, back six, all these tricks, but if you watch Parviz ski, everybody now in this current day and age of skiing is copying shit he was doing when everyone was hating on it.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible. If you go watch some of our old Harvest videos and pay attention to his part and the Recess video, it's like you can't deny how influential he was. He's
Yeah.
always kind of been like that. He's always kind of been, kind of doing his own thing regardless of what he's doing. Like, me and Emmett were actually talking about it the other day. He's been wearing cropped box style t-shirts since he was 16 years old, and it's coming back now. Like, he's never changed his style, and now everyone is basically doing this, literally what he was doing 10 years ago, and people were shitting on it,
Yeah.
and now people are geeking over it, which is super interesting. And nobody, nobody really, I would assume nobody really notices. But I
Mhm.
remember like when Parviz came out with that part, there was like, he got so much hate on it, and unjustified hate. It was hate because they saw something new, and they probably were like, oh, I could do this, like, just like what a lot of people do, and then you try to go do it, and it's actually a lot harder than you think. But yeah, the whole style of skiing right now is that's Parviz 10 years ago or whatever it was, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, seven. I'm so bad with numbers. I forget how old I am every once in a while. Like,
Yeah, same.
yeah. Like, I'm either 26, 27, or 28. I can't remember right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Parviz though, shout out, dude. He's always been a huge influence on me and all my tricks, the way I go about doing certain tricks. It's a lot of it is influenced by that man right there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he eventually, he got put on by Emmett, got a free pair of skis, and then just randomly, I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I would assume it was more so, he just like mentioned, he would always, talk to me about it. Um, and then I think he just mentioned to Emmett one day, like, hey, I have this friend, blah, blah, blah. He's pretty good at skiing. I have no idea what he said. I can't remember. But one day I just went over with Parviz to that house, and we go downstairs. This is when Emmett was drinking. And my first experience meeting Emmett, I'm pretty sure it was waking him up out of bed, and there's just he was sleeping, and it was like, I don't know, I would assume noon. Classic Emmett stuff. But yeah, that was my first time meeting him, and we went over to the avenues in Salt Lake, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly because, dude, I have a bad memory. Like,
Yeah.
not good. Like, there's certain things that I can remember so well, and then there's other things like this where it's like, was that the same day or was that like the day after? I'm not sure. But what I remember is going to, oh no, that's what we went to Lindsay Gardens up in
Yeah.
the avenues. And I don't know if you remember the spot. It's been in a lot of videos. Probably the most easily memorable video I can think of is Magnus Grenier does like a K-Fed where he like drops down onto a lower bar into a tennis court. But um,
I have to
that
I have to
that
look
that's
at
also
it.
in Harvest.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Recess. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gas, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So we went up to this spot, and I was riding Armada pipe cleaners, and I don't know. He kind of just liked what I was doing. We just kind of hit it off. Had our personalities just kind of worked well together, um, and yeah, we ended up becoming friends. One day, he just gave me a pair of Vishnus, and we went and hit a bunch of spots in the avenues as well again. And then we went on, he invited me on this trip to he bought a shitty van, like a $1,200 van, didn't have a muffler on it, somehow still passed registration and emissions and everything. And we ended up taking this van all the way to Portland, Maine, and then all the way back. And we stopped in Pennsylvania, we went to Boston. I went a lot of places that I've never been back to, and I would like to go back to. And that, looking back on it, it was so sick to be able to see these places and actually see them. It's not like I'm not just going to the city and hanging out. Like, I'm driving through all the suburbs. I'm driving up every single street, looking at trying to find spots and
Yeah.
seeing the cities through different, perspectives and stuff, which I'm super grateful for now, being able to like I know I could probably live in Maine just based off of my experience in Maine when we were there
Yeah.
in the area and everything. But yeah, we went on that trip. It was successful. I hit a rail, and I thought it was funny. I was like, I one upped Cam Riley on a rail, same exact rail. And I felt so proud of myself at that moment. I remember I was like, fuck yeah, like I did a cooler trick than Cam Riley did on this trail. Like, awesome. But yeah, I mean, he's the GOAT. But yeah, and then we drove all the way back, and Kale, who was affiliated at Vishnu at the time, he decided to stay back and fly home. And he left me and Luke Roberts to drive the van all the way home. And remind you, this van is sus, like super, super sus. I'm pretty sure by the time we left Ogden, we had 4 or 5 working doors slash latches you could open to get in the van. By the time we got home or on our way home, there was only one way in, one way out of the van. Um, and we ended up driving that. Me and Luke ended up driving that van home straight from Dylan's hometown, Dylan Manley's hometown. And I got home, walked into Emmett's house, and I said, "Give me a pair of skis right now," or something like that. And he went into his closet and gave me a pair of pink marble 183s. And I've just been with him ever since now. But the context of that story is just like, it was the most brutal drive ever in this shitty rickety van. You know, you could only go a certain top speed before it started getting like sketchy. No heat, no AC. And I remember, yeah, me and Luke, we'd switch off driving every like 6 or 8 hours or something. We just pull off at the gas station, fill up on gas. And I remember at one point we were just like, I would buy him um 2 little shooters of liquor. And like if he was driving, I'd go in, I'd get him, and we'd swap, and we just fucking take 2 shooters and then go take a nap in the back while the other person drove, and then we just switch off, and eventually we were home.
Just one
But
straight
I
shot.
remember, huh?
One straight shot, no stopping, no nothing. Just like just
Oh yeah, just
driving through
we're
the
just
night.
driving, dude.
Yeah.
When I drive, I'm like, dude, what's the point in pulling over and taking a nap? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously sometimes you have to, but like I'm fine with driving 10 hours at a time. Like I like it kind of, I mean, not I don't love it, but like I'd rather take a 10-hour drive than a 4-hour plane ride or a
Yeah.
3-hour plane. Like I hate going to the airport. I hate doing that. I
Yeah.
like seeing the country. Um, I don't know, driving's kind of just relaxing to me.
I know. I feel you, man. I'm
Yeah,
right there with
I
you.
like
Yeah.
it. I'm
Yeah.
like, people are like, oh, that's so far away. Everything's so far away. It's like, dude, I'll drive 2 hours to go fish for 30 minutes and I'm content with it. Like, it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
You just got to accept it and be okay with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, but, advice for people, just accept it.
Yeah. That's tight, dude. That's that story pretty much matches up with what Emmett told me too. I was asking
Yeah.
him some questions before this, and I was like, "How did he even get on Vishnu?" And he told me that same
It
story.
was it was basically, yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm missing some details. I'm sure maybe I mixed some things up, but essentially it's what it was. We went on a trip. It was a really long trip, and by the time we got home, we were all pretty over it.
Yeah.
It just been a long trip, and things had happened and stuff. But yeah, I remember, and he remembers specifically. I just got home and immediately it was like, give me a pair of skis, like because
Yeah.
my skis were completely clapped at that point. Like
Yeah.
I had, I don't know, I had just skied them so hard, and um, yeah, and then he gave me some 183 marble skis, which still to this day, like some of my favorite graphics and favorite ski. That was back when I was riding the wet, obviously, because that's all the only ski they had too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it all went down. And yeah, just been good friends with Emmett ever since. I ended up living with him for a bit, and it kind of just worked
Yeah.
out for me.
No, that's awesome.
It was a good fit too, because it was like, I don't have I wouldn't say I have the skill in skiing to be like, on Solomon, or actually was on Solomon for a little bit when I was younger, but on like Solomon or Vocal, or, I don't have the social media presence, because I don't give a shit about that at all. Like I kind of despise it in a sense, like people doing things purely to do it, to post it on their social media. And, if that's you, go ahead, do that. But I've never cared about that at all.
Yeah.
Never will. There's things I have on my camera roll that I'm sure a lot of people would like to see, and they're never going to see it. And
Yeah.
you're going to see it besides me and my close friends.
Yeah. That's tight, bro. That's
Yeah.
so funny, dude. It's so funny. Just like I was just having these such a similar conversation like less than 24 hours ago, but it's just wild. Yeah,
With
like
who?
just we were just talking about I don't know. It seems like social media's kind of fallen off. Like it's almost cringe to post what you're doing. It's just like I got so much great shit on my iPhone, and
Yeah.
it's like I really have no desire to like share it on my personal Instagram or anything like that. Because
Yeah.
it's just like
That's how I
why?
am too. I just think it's like, a lot of people are trying to prove something or like show off. And it's like, I just use social media. I'm sure if you've seen my social media in the last year, it's like, it's not even a personal Instagram. I've just converted it straight to my business. Like,
Yeah,
I'll probably start a personal Instagram just because I'm gonna be guiding fishing on like just some rivers in Utah and stuff. That's what I kind of plan to do for right now indefinitely. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to start another Instagram and post pictures of fish and a little more lifestyle stuff, but like, I'm not gonna promote that page or I don't need, Kyle so and so from Wisconsin to follow that page. I don't, if he
yeah,
wants to, go ahead, but like there's my other page. There's gonna be my other page for that.
yeah,
But that's also a thing is like I don't, I kind of cringe at the shit I'm doing already, like posting my clothing stuff, but it's like right now that's my only means of marketing. And it's my easiest slash it's just like create like I just look at Instagram now as a marketing tool,
yeah,
really. To I hate using words like that because it's like I'm not, I didn't graduate business school, but like that's really all it is a marketing tool now because everyone's trying to sell something now. So I was just like, why not just change my page into my clothing shit? It's like, ultimately that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I might as well just go for it and
yeah,
convert it over. And again, it's cringy. It's cringy. I cringe at myself sometimes when I post things, but I talked to to Dan and
yeah,
obviously talked to him. We had a a couple hour conversation about just kind of what we're just talking about, just random shit,
yeah,
small business stuff. And he kind of just put it into perspective. It's like, you can think it's cringy, you can think it's whatever you want, but really when it comes down to it, it's just a post on Instagram and people are going to probably forget about it in 20 minutes. Like,
so easy. Yeah,
quicker than that. Sometimes, it'll something might rub people the wrong way. It'll stick a little longer, but it's like, you know, I was on Instagram when I woke up for half a second. I don't remember anything I saw.
yeah,
Like, and the way Instagram works now, the algorithm, it's crazy. You see something and you swipe and scroll and then it's gone forever. Like you
yeah,
have to remember that exact Instagram account and try to find the name, go back to the post to try to find it because it's just gone.
yeah,
And that's just something I gotta, just remind myself. It's really like, even though I cringe at it and I don't necessarily like it, it is something that has to be done in a business from a business standpoint. Like you can't just not post. Like you can't.
yeah. You kind of forced
You
to.
have to. You're
Yeah,
forced. And I think it'd just be, it's a bad. Even though I don't really want to, it'd be a bad move not to.
yeah,
I still need to get way better at it. Like way better. But I've improved a little bit, I'd say, in the last month or so.
well, there's totally there's ways to do it that aren't like you don't have to use trending audio. Like if Obviously, if you
Oh,
want to blow
dude,
up, you have to play
if I
the
ever do
yeah
that, just
yeah.
please come to my house and do something because that's yeah, I will never do that. I will never do
Yeah.
like the voiceover video of that, like that, whatever that girl's voice is. I'll never do
Just like the
that.
AI TikTok voice, yeah.
Yeah. No, I did a giveaway one time and I'll never do that again. I don't like, I don't know. People can do whatever you want. I just think it sends the wrong message. It's like, I don't know.
Dude, I just
If
feel
you
like
want my shit, pay for it, dude. Like, like you don't expect, I don't know why kids expect things for free. Like
yeah,
I grew up like I never expected anything from anyone for anything, like
yeah,
I would hit up brands to be sponsored by them, like, and I would kids nowadays just like write, they'll send you a message on Instagram like, hey, can you give me some free stuff? It's like, dude, I used to like work on an email for a whole day to send to a company to try to get sponsored, not even like free stuff. It was me telling them all the things I could do for them, like
yeah,
represent them at competitions and I don't know, just put their sticker on my I would go to lengths to try to like make it sound better.
yeah,
But kids nowadays are just like, there is companies out there where they can just get free shit all the time and there's people willing to do that. So it's unfortunate when it comes to, a smaller business. It's actually a small business, like something like me, where, you know, kids don't real like, first of all, this is all my own money. Everything that kids buy goes straight back into the company. Um, I've definitely not made any money. Like if I'm looking at my expenses report,
yeah. When you're doing a
like
spreadsheet,
I'm not making money. Like the only reason this is like I'm able to keep this alive and going and I'm giving it a lot of effort is because I'm not paying rent right now. That's like if I was paying rent, I would have to do this way less and I'd have to go get a normal day job. Um and kids don't
and
realize
just
that,
to
like
note, you're not paying rent
yeah.
because you're at your parents' crib. You're not paying rent because it's not like you're living at somebody's house and just not paying rent. Like you're living
No,
with
no,
your
yeah.
parents. Yeah,
I'm making like a personal sacrifice. Like,
yeah, yeah.
there's perks that come with living here, it's like, and I moved away for so many years that it's been nice to like, develop a better relationship with my family again, because I
Yeah.
was I was just away for so long and I'd rarely like, it would be a hassle for me to come up. Um, but yeah, it's been overall, it's been a blessing, honestly. Like my older sister had a baby last year and I see him every day basically, which is like
That's awesome.
it's incredible. I don't know if you've ever experienced being an uncle or just like
Not
anything
yet.
like that. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty eye-opening and it's incredible, honestly. Like it's it's if I'm in a bad mood or in a bad mental state, I can just go pick him up and it's like, oh, all that shit's gone in a split second.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people overlook. It doesn't get talked about too much, but like, yeah, it's nice. It was really nice to like rebuild relationships with people that it kind of just had faded over time, and
Mhm.
it was all my fault. Like I already know that. I already like I don't know. People are so quick to not blame themselves. Like I'm the opposite. Like I know how I am. I'm very self-aware. So I know that like sometimes I'm not good to be like you don't want to be around me like just some people don't have that self-awareness though, and I think they should.
Yeah. Let's talk about how you got into the business because Emmett gave me a thing or two. It seems like the fishing is tied into the business. Is that how you
Yep.
see it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not a ski company.
Mm.
I've never once, people can assume whatever they want just because I ski and that's what a lot of people know me from is skiing, but I'm not, it's not a ski company. It's just outdoor. It's an outdoor company. It's for everything involving outdoors.
Mm.
Um, I think, it's kind of funny. I sometimes I think of it like, a lot of people like the end of Saga basically was when they tried to become an outdoor company. But
Yeah.
they had already established themselves within a ski community that they are a ski company that makes ski outerwear for skiers and snowboarders. And then they tried to branch out and do this other thing. It's like, no, dude, you've already got your niche. You're already there.
Keep it.
Um, so you shouldn't try to just put a fly like a fish on a shirt and sell it. Like, that's just off brand. But with me, that's my whole life is, I fished more this winter than I skied. So of course my brand is gonna kind of reflect that as well. I just like, overall I just like to make gear for the same activities that I do. Like I'm making the same gear, I'm wearing the same gear as you would doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's
I
kind of
like
my
that.
my goal, my vision behind the brand as a whole is, just outdoor related gear that's, it's tried, true, and tested by people who literally do the same things. It's not drawn up in a lab from somebody who's never even been outside. They just know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's actual. And I just see sort of a lack of everyone's fit right now, everyone's style. It's, the trendy style right now is to have, what it has been is, everything's fitted, super fitted as far as outdoor gear goes, not specifically skiing, but outdoor gear. And I don't do that. I don't wear skinny jeans. I don't like it. I like having comfy clothes when I'm in the outdoors. So that's my whole thing as well. Is like, all if you notice all my sizing, it's gonna be basically a relaxed fit for everything. Like
Yeah.
very rarely am I gonna do something slim and tight, and because there's 50, 80 other brands that do that already. Like why would I do that?
Yeah. What name were you operating under right now for the business?
My name, Kysen Hall.
So
It's
it was
labeled.
supplier hire before and you just
So
cut that out?
so it still could be.
Mm.
I just, I'm a chaotic person. I have a lot of thoughts, so sometimes it's hard to articulate what the meaning is behind thoughts, and also like my views change. Just like anyone says they don't change over time is they're dumb. They're lying.
Yeah.
I don't. I like the name Aspire Higher. Am I gonna like it in 5 years? Probably not.
Mm.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I just like it to be, it's my name, Kysen Hall, but I can do a collection that's Aspire Higher. I could do another collection in the fall that's Aspire Higher. I could
Yeah.
do one that is completely different. I can switch the name based off of the products themselves, the logoing, packaging. So I can manipulate um what the I don't know, the current status of the brand is basically, or just collection wise. It's easier to segregate collections. But
Yeah.
I can, it's just like, anyone, this is like not a great example, but just for instance, like, uh, actually, no, that's not a good example at all.
Take your time.
Let's think, just it's just that was my Aspire Higher collection by Kysen Hall. It's
Yeah, yeah.
this right now. It's Ascetic Kysen Hall. Like it's just I can just switch the name a little bit. I'm just too indecisive to like zone in on one name and be committed to that. And also, I think it um part of me is just like as soon as you click one name, choose one name, then everyone just associates you with whatever that meaning of that word is, and it becomes what's the right word, singularity. Like it's, there's only
It's limiting.
limiting. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, it all just comes down to me being indecisive on names. I've never been good with names. And so I was just like, screw it, dude. I'm just not gonna choose a official brand name. It's just gonna be labeled, it's designer label because that's I mean, I'm not a huge designer, but I am a designer. I design all my products and it's just under my name, Kysen Hall. So, designer label Kysen Hall. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be bougie leather loafers for it to be designer. There's norms out in the fashion world that are I don't they don't apply to me. Basically, they don't apply to anybody, but somebody for whatever reason thinks they do, and I don't think they do. I kind
Yeah.
of just do what I want to do, and there's certain things that you have to conform to, but overall, it's I'm kind of just doing my own thing. I'm not following anyone else's time schedule or their release dates. I'm not worried about having to have a spring collection and a fall collection and a winter collection. It's like, dude, when the stuff comes out, it comes out. Like, I could have a rain jacket come out in the middle of July. I could also have that same jacket come out in the middle of October. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like the free motion I have with like the name and the style of branding I'm doing.
Yeah. Were you doing anything else for a living before this, or like, is this something new? Is this something you've always wanted to do?
So I was landscaping basically full time all summer. I did that for like 2 or 3 summers. And before that, I've done everything. I did door knocking, summer sales. I've done that for a couple years, made a lot of money doing that and hated it, absolutely hated it. You just lie to people to their face all day, every day, and that's how you make money, which is just like, oh, it's demoralizing, dude.
Yeah.
You have a conscience, at least. It's demoralizing. You feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You make a lot of money, but you feel like a piece of shit if you have a big conscience. But um that all these things I think of that were so shitty, they were great overall. It got me to where I am now. I learned a lot. I learned that, I don't want to be a salesman. I'm not, a salesman like trying to, I don't want to do that to anybody. Um, but I used to do, I've done construction jobs. I used to frame houses, do remodels. Um, I used to work in a ski shop. I've worked in a bakery before. And most of these jobs I did for at least a year, if not more. Sometimes multiple jobs at the same time and college, which didn't work, unfortunately. If you're going to college, it's a lot easier to just go to college, not work 40 plus hours a week and try to do college. But yeah, so I've done all that. And just this year, I have stopped landscaping and I'm going to be just guiding fishing along with doing this.
Yeah. Dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love it.
Emmett wanted me to ask you about like the connection between tying your own flies for fly fishing and how that translates over to the same skills for sewing. That was a pretty
Patience.
unique connection right there.
It's just patience,
Yeah.
you know. I don't even consider myself a patient person, like, but it's you can tie a fly and you can tie that same fly in 10 seconds or you can take 2 minutes. Usually the one that takes 2 minutes is going to look way better than the one you did in 10 seconds and it's going to catch a lot more fish. Just relate that straight over to skiing, or to clothing. It's,
Yeah.
I could, the pants I'm selling that I'm making myself in my living room, you know, I could make the same pair of pants essentially, not waterproof, but I could make a pair of pants that are similar to it in 2 hours. And but to me, I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't really care. I want something that I'm proud of. I'm very detail oriented, and like I just, I hone in on those details. And so I don't know. I just like things, I just like the analogy I just said, I'm going to fish that fly that took me 2 minutes. I'm going to fish that fly for 10 hours. That other one's going to be on my line for 2 seconds and I'm going to take it right off type thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Quality and just, quality of things and overall, just, I don't know, your ability to like them, I guess.
No, it's
But
cool.
no, they do correlate quite. They like I've never really thought about it like that, but really it just comes down to shortly answer Emmett's question, to patience. It's just you got to be patient. You got to be okay with making a mistake and going back and correcting that mistake. It's really easy to, particularly sewing garments, it's really easy to mess up a little bit and just be like, oh, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. But, if you mess up on that first thing and then you're doing, you're working with 18 different pieces of 18 different panels,
Mm.
you mess up on the first thing, by the time you get to the last thing, you are that much more off on your overall finished garment, like you're a quarter inch off at the beginning, by the end of it you're going to be a whole inch off. um but yeah, that's just, it kind of directly correlates with fishing.
Yeah.
I think Emmett would like tying flies, honestly, even though he doesn't fish. I think he'd like, just like, it's so, dude. It's sometimes I'll tie a bug and I'll just look at it in my hand for like 10, not maybe not 10 minutes, but like 5 minutes. I'm like, damn, that looks so fucking good. And then to go take it out to the river the next day and you catch fish with it, it's just like so satisfying.
Yeah. Have you ever brought him fishing?
Huh?
Have you ever brought him out on the river?
I haven't. I've offered multiple times. I wanted to take him ice fishing this year because
Yeah.
he would like ice fishing, just sitting back and
Chilling.
basically in a lawn chair in a tent, and just you're watching a little screen waiting for the fish to come on the screen. He would like it. It'd be fun for him. I'm gonna get him out there eventually.
Yeah.
This year was definitely not the year though with my injury.
Yeah.
I didn't do much for 5 weeks.
Yeah. That's tight. Um, all right. Well, I mean, we could wrap things up. I do have a few viewer questions. I'll
Yeah.
give you this one. Tom Caruso. So, are there any other brands that you look to for like inspiration, or you think that
Um.
like, hey, I love how they're doing X, Y, and Z, whether it's the actual product or how they just conduct themselves?
Well, there's definitely, I don't want to name too many people, but like just because with my memory, I'm gonna forget so many people that
Yeah.
actually do bring me inspiration. But like, the first one that came in my head is Zach Pfeiffer,
Mm.
Sovereign, dude. Like, he's just he loves what I've kind of strayed away from the sewing it all myself factor, just because I don't. My favorite part about things are designing it and choosing the color combinations and where stitching goes. I love the whole design aspect, and I think it's super beneficial that I was able to learn how things are actually made. Like, everything that I sell, I could make myself,
Hmm.
which is, whether people care about that or not, it's like, if I really wanted to take the time, I could do it all myself, but I would have to charge you way more money. This
Way,
sun
way
hoodie I
more.
have on right now,
Yeah.
like, these are going to be coming out soon. And, I could make this myself and sell it to you, but I would have to charge $180 because it's going to take me, you know, 7 hours of my time plus just a lot of other little details here and there, designing process wise, like, then you have to go buy the fabric, or sorry, you have to go, well, yeah, you have to buy all the hardware, all the fabric yourself. Um, but that's kind of what I'm getting back to with Zach is he does it all himself, or most of it, the majority of it himself. And, he doesn't seem like he's been burnt out yet. And he makes good stuff himself. And, um, he's always, I'm not one to comment on people's Instagrams. I don't engage with people's Instagrams all that often. But if I were to, I'd probably be commenting on his most of the time, just because, just the fact that I've done this all, I've built all these things myself. I've done it all myself, constructed them, and he's doing it at a great level. Like, and he can, I don't know, it's kind of inspiring to, he'll make, he'll post that he made 4 pair of pants in that day. Um,
Yeah.
I'm over here struggling to make 1 pair in a day. Granted, we make different things. Like it is literally impossible to make the pants I make myself in a day. I've tried so many, like I've done sun up, sundown, like 12-hour days. And, at a certain point, you lose your mental like focus, and you have to just stop because, they're 500, because someone paid $500 for these. I can't mess up. So you have to just kind of pace yourself through it. And waterproofing stuff just takes forever. But yeah, Zach, big inspiration. He makes sweet stuff, does it most of it all himself. And he's kind of like me. He's exactly like me. He just makes stuff that he likes. He sees something that he likes and he's like, oh, I want to make that. And like, people are going to buy it because he makes good stuff. So he's definitely the biggest one. There's a couple people I follow on Instagram, like USS, I can't remember his name right now, USRSR Major or something, but he's just like specifically into vintage military gear. And he makes, maybe his stitching isn't the greatest from what I can see from the Instagram views, but he has very detail oriented patterns. And yeah, he's doing really good. Um, there was one I just thought of that was really my biggest inspiration right now. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick.
Yeah, do your thing.
My names are my biggest weakness. So, like, you could tell me your name, like, and I'll forget it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I do know I can't even remember what the Instagram account is, but it's mostly just random people. Like, oh, it's this dude from, like, I'm pretty sure he's from Nigeria. But again, he's just making really quality stuff all himself. And but yeah, most of my inspiration just comes from the river, being outside. Everything comes from being outside. That's by far the biggest inspiration. But yeah, I'm not good with names. I know there's a lot of people out there that definitely inspire me to do better and to make stuff. But yeah, my first thought that came in my head was Zach Pfeiffer.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah.
All right. Colby. Very simple. He just gets straight to it. Sling pack for chasing bull trout? Question.
I have moved away from the sling pack. I don't like the sling pack. Um, I've noticed that when you wear it for, if you're out there for 10 hours, 12 hours, like I am, you don't want a sling pack. You want 2 shoulder straps. There's very few times where you're going to be in the river and you need to get in your backpack. And the sling pack offers that because you can just whip it around. Most of the time, if I'm going to fish a hole, I'm setting my backpack down. But even if I'm keeping it on all day, you want two straps because especially if you're a right-handed caster and that shoulder sling is on your right shoulder all day, then you're just double wearing down one shoulder all day and then your other one's not doing anything and you're going to have a kink neck.
Yeah.
So no, I've strayed away from, like, literally this year is my first year not using the shoulder sling, and I'm feeling very, like, I feel so much better about it. It just puts the weight in weird positions, and a backpack is just way better for that.
Yeah. Tight. Alex Cadis. Who's better on the river, you or Mango?
Mango. I mean, that's I mean, there's times where I'll catch more fish than him. You know, he'll catch more fish than me, but yeah, he's just got that sixth sense that I've got the logical sense of, like, of like logically how things work and how things work in nature, but he just has that, I don't know. He can just zone in with nature. He's the best morel mushroom hunter ever. Like, I'll walk over 7 mushrooms and he's like, dude, you just walked over all these, they're all right here. So I'd say Mango.
That's awesome.
No shame in that.
Yeah.
He's been fishing way longer than me too. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, we covered a lot of these, but let's see. All right, we'll wrap it up with this one.
Yeah.
Scott, he said, what's it like being part of a brand with a cult following like Vishnu? And this is something I always wanted to ask Emmett. Like, I think Emmett probably gets the weirdest DMs out of anyone. But what's it like for you being on that team, like, of something that all these kids are just completely obsessed with?
Um, Honestly, like, I've never really felt that, like, cult following thing. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people follow me solely because I was on Vishnu,
Yeah.
but I don't really experience that all too much. Again, it's probably just because who knows why, but I would assume it's because I don't, participate in social media as much.
Yeah.
So there's not the content to engage with, essentially.
Yeah.
But it is pretty funny because it's, on the internet, it's just kids. What people got to realize, it's most of this shit they see on the internet, it's just somebody on their phone. And just think about for 1 second, like, throughout your whole day your mood changes constantly. Like, you could be on cloud nine 1 sec and then hate yourself the next second. So um all those comments and all this social media shit is literally just somebody out there, depending on their mood, depending on the time of day, it's when they wanted to write that comment. So take it very lightly. I don't know. I'm just thinking of more specific, like, there's always been constant haters on Vishnu, like the same group of people, just like for whatever reason, they want it to fail. Like, they genuinely want there to Vishnu not to exist. And it's just kind of funny because it's like, it's all just internet hate. Like, they've never met Emmett. They don't know what's going on. They have their own perceived ideas of what the brand is, when in reality, it is one dude who his whole life is running this company for everyone. It's like, he's not making millions of dollars. Like, he's doing it for skiing. Um, some people get it, a lot of people don't get that. But personally, I don't really experience a lot of the cult fall. Like, people probably don't recognize me. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Definitely in the videos.
But I also have, like, if you were just to see me in a crowd, like, I'm probably the last person you would just walk up to and say hi to. Like, I got your classic resting bitch face. Like, and also I don't care to, I could go to a party or like, I just don't care to engage with people. I'm content with, who I am, where I'm at, like, I'm just content. But Emmett would be a great person to answer that question because, yeah, he gets some wild DMs. He shows me them quite often, and emails, DMs. It seems like they get crazier every year and
Can you,
more frequent every year.
yeah. Could you think of one off the top of your head? You're just like, yo, what the fuck?
One time this kid DM'd him or emailed him, I can't remember which, and he was trying to essentially just get free skis from him by lying. Like one of them was, this is just a funny DM. It was, hey, I broke my skis at the mountain today. I snapped them in half. Can you send me new ones? And obviously Emmett's like, okay, well, can you send me a picture of the skis? Um, can you send me a video of what happened? Any sort of evidence. And the kid replied back, sorry, I can't. My dad, when I got home from the ski hill, my dad took my skis to the dump and threw them at the dump. So he was like this kid who's like, he got home from the ski hill and he's telling us that his dad saw his skis broken, immediately went to the dump, like didn't just throw them in the trash,
Yeah.
took them all the way to the dump and threw them away at the dump. And so he couldn't take a picture of the skis anymore. And after further investigation, it turns out this kid never bought skis. He never owned, he was just trying to lie to get skis. But that was one that just came to my head. As you can kind of tell, I'm not a storyteller at all. So Emmett telling that story way better. But just shit like that, like he'll get stuff like that. He'll get angry moms every once in a while, and I'm sure you saw his story the other day when he posts full length Instagram stories detailed of all these details about the pre-sale, and then kids turn around and ask him the question that he answered in the previous slide.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, like I don't know if kids are getting dumber or like we're getting more impatient. I don't know. I think people are getting dumber though.
Yeah.
Just like we were talking about, like people like even me, you see something and you forget it in 2 seconds. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the amount of information we can gather now it's pretty funny. But yeah, every once in a while Emma will get some golden ones. I know I'm forgetting a lot right now. Um, I just haven't really been, and it's been a year since I lived with Emmett, so I'm kind of I'm out of the loop a little bit, and I've been focused, on my thing, which is great, but I'm kind of out of the the inner loop circle of Vishnu at the moment,
Yeah.
and it's just it's solely just because I don't live in Salt Lake anymore. I don't see him every day anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but you got to ask next time you have Emmett on, you'll have to ask him. You know what you should do is just have him like, you should just have him prepare, like go through his emails or his DMs and just have like 10 of them prepared to read. Like, dude, some of these conversations are so ridiculous because, it's like a 14-year-old who like doesn't have any self-awareness at all. Their brain is changing. They don't have a frontal lobe. They're literally just dumb. Like,
Yeah.
it's every I hope people don't get offended by saying that, but it's like every person in the human existence has gone through that phase in their life where they don't have a frontal lobe. They don't know, they can't make informed decisions based on like logic and reason. It's all just immediate. But yeah, you'll have to have him like come have prepared, like, because there's some good ones throughout the years, and it's been 10 years now, which shout out Emmett, dude, that's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
10 years, like 10 years, that's a long time to be doing the same thing. Like we were saying, like there's
Yeah.
people who don't ski for 10 years, like
Yeah.
he's been grinding Vishnu day in and day out for 10 years. That's incredible
Yeah. That's awesome.
commitment.
All right, so we could leave it off at that. We had a solid hour under our belts. I think that's good.
Nice.
Oh, approaching an hour 30, honestly. So let
Yeah,
everybody
sorry. Sometimes I just like ramble.
Nah, you're chilling, bro. That's the point of this whole thing.
Yeah. Just
So
one question leads me to 10 other questions that didn't even get asked, but we just threw them in there already.
nah, dude, honestly, you that makes my job so much easier.
Yeah. I'm a fan of like, I don't know, it's like obviously you're the host of the podcast, but it's like it's my job to, you're having me on. I got to feed you information whether you're asking it or not, kind of like
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not, it sucks when podcasts are just like, you ask me a question and I just like, yep, okay, this is how it happened and that's it. Like, I'm a fan of when it kind of goes off the rail. That's when you start really learning stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So, I mean, let them know where they can find your stuff, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah. So all my social media stuff is my name, Kysen Hall, KYSENHALL. Same thing for my website, kysenhall.com. I got quite a few things coming out for summer. I have shorts, sun hoodies that are, I've never seen a sun hoodie that looks as good as this, I'll tell you what, and offers more coverage. Yeah, but then look out for winter stuff coming in the fall. You're going to have upgraded waterproof gear, puffy jacket, waterproof tech fleece, which pretty rare. I'm coming up with my own camo patterns for all these products, so keep an eye out. I'll do my best to post about them. That's my least favorite part is I love working really hard. My least favorite part is the post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yo, thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for being here.
It's been a
And
good time.
yeah, for sure.